Today I wanted to talk about the space element. Everything arises from space, exists in space, and dissolves into space. And on the inner level within us, space manifests as awareness. I often say open, spacious awareness. And our experience of life is what arises in that awareness. It's the content of our awareness, our direct experience. But this experience is not something other than that awareness. And so when the space element is balanced in us, there is room in our life. Whatever might arise in our experience, in our awareness, can be accommodated. There's room for it. There's enough time. There's enough emotional capacity. There's enough tolerance and acceptance in this space. All the elements of our experience, they all fit and have room. When we have space, we no longer feel constricted or disassociated from our experience, nor are we completely fixated or tripped up by it, caught by our experience. When there's space, there's room for experiences to come and go. And so rather than running after our experience or running away from our experience, when there's space, we can be more rooted in who we are. The one who is experiencing through our awareness. When we have too much space, and the space element is strong, and then we can become spacey. No longer connecting to that which is arising in our awareness. No longer connecting to the other elements. We might be zoned out, spaced out, as they say. When we have too much space, this state is not an integration with our own awareness, with our own nature of mind. There's no clarity. There's no awareness. There's no mindfulness. Kind of a daze. We've lost our connection. If we wander too much in this kind of spaced out state, too much space can often feel a lack of the earth element, a lack of rootedness. Like we're just kind of wandering through life without awareness, without being present, just kind of lost and out of touch. And so too much space, we kind of zone out, right? But too little space, too much constriction, too much tightness, kind of shrinks our awareness, shrinks our experience, and fixates on whatever it is that we're fixated on. Whatever that is, it dominates us. whatever that is we're fixating on seems so solid, seems so important, serious, and real. And these kind of tiny, small problems in our lives can feel overwhelming. They can feel like the whole universe, the size of the whole universe, because that's all we see. We have a very narrow view. We have too little space element. Tiny problems appear as big problems. And so we want to have good balance. We want to balance the space element within us. We want to find that middle way between constriction and being too loose, too open, and not present. And when you have balance in your space element, whether you're working, whether you're tending to your family, whether you're doing selfless service, practicing, whether you're out in the world shopping, all of it you can accommodate. All of it you can take in and hold in your awareness with mindful presence. There's enough space for all of it. There's enough space for me. There's enough space that I can see you. I can give you space. I can give my family space. Give my coworkers space. When there's too little space, we don't have time for our family. We don't have time to help a coworker. We don't have time to do this. There's too much work. There's too much to do. I just can't extend myself. I'm just burnt out. I don't have the space. My agenda is too full. I'm sorry, I can't help. There's no time. There's no time for our friends. There's no time for our spiritual practice. No time for our loved ones and families. How can we relax when we're fixated and stuck like that? And when you have too much space, you just drift aimlessly through life. Your job isn't important. Your family's not important. Your deadlines aren't important. Yeah, you're missing a birthday, missing a holiday. You're just treating your family like they're roommates. So the dishes and the chores are piling up. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. You've gone too far in the opposite direction. There's no focus. There's no presence. And the head is stuck in the clouds. When we fully integrate and interbe with the space element, we know who and what we really are. Because we know the nature of our mind. And then we're free. Because we're no longer bound by all the specific objects in our experience. Normally we identify with the stories, the objects, that which arises in our awareness. When we integrate with space, we're integrating with awareness itself, the empty space that all our experiences arise in. We can realize our true nature and not get stuck and fixated in the story. You're connected to the big picture, to the essence. We're not going after each object. We're not focused on the object. From interbeing with space, we know that any problem that arises is simply arising in the space of our mind. And we don't have to embody the problem, fixate on the problem, narrow our view on the problem. We can support ourselves through just having this big picture, this big, open, vast view. We see our perspective, we see other people's perspectives, we see the interbeing between us and others. This allows us to open up and be more accepting and accommodating to ourselves and to all whom we encounter. So the space element is this openness of the clear, cloudless sky. And how do we connect with that? The practice of sky gazing. Sky gazing is a very important practice. Practice that I love very much. And so to practice sky gazing, we just need to go outside. Wherever there's a nice, large, unobstructed view of the sky. In our yard, field, a park. And we can look up and see that in front of us is this vast space. And we can meditate with our eyes open, our body relaxed, and just breathing naturally. We can breathe in the open, clear sky and allow it to dissolve within us. And then just exhale. And just let that pure, vast, infinite space come into the body, pervade every cell of your body. As we look up at the space, the clouds floating through the sky, and just let that interbe with our own body and mind. Connect with that space. Integrate our own awareness with that space. And merge with that space. And when we interbe with space like this, we allow a chance for healing. The tight constrictions, knots in our body, and the knots that are emotional knots, anger, fear, worry, stress. Breathe in that space and give those knots space so that they can dissolve. Tensions in our body dissolve. Our thoughts have a chance to dissolve. And all our stories and identities about ourselves and the world have a chance to dissolve. And so the more we practice like this, interbeing and connecting with the space of the clear sky, the clearer and more expansive our awareness can become. No longer dragged around by what's arising in our experience, no longer pushed and pulled by the clouds, but just letting the clouds come and go, letting our thoughts come and go, always fresh, open, and unconstrained. You breathe in this space that accommodates everything without any effort. And so as we breathe in the space and connect with that space, we find that space in our own body and in our own mind. And just all our daily problems, let them dissolve. We make space for the positive experience of beauty that we're experiencing right before our eyes as we sit outside looking up at the sky. And we simply release that tight constriction burden that we've been holding. So that's the practice. And the more we practice sky gazing, the more we practice interbeing with the element of space, our mind can become more clear. More joy can easily arise because there's less tension, less constriction. There's more room for all those wholesome qualities to be noticed and to give rise. We're giving room for all those wholesome seeds to arise within us. And when we go out into the world, whatever happens, it's okay. We have space to accommodate for that. There's traffic, we have space for that. We're running late, we have space for that. Someone cuts us off, there's space for that too. No matter what happens in our day, we can accommodate that because we know that there's space. No, this isn't about being a pushover, letting people walk all over you, right? We still have responsibility. We still have a discerning mind. But this is really about coming from a place where we're making decisions in the world and acting in the world from this open, spacious awareness, from this big picture, rather than just kind of reacting based on our habit energy, just kind of reacting to the situation, tightening down, constricting and narrowing, focusing on all the problems, only the problems. This is a practice of pure presence, fully integrating ourselves with space.